In the moment I included for October 13th in my book, Losing Linda May, A Cancer Caregiving Memoir, I'm talking to my former boss at the Inova Center, which is a high-end acupuncture center in New York City that specializes in women's health and reproductive care. He offers me a job back now that I'm done being a primary caregiver for my mom who had non-Hodgkin lymphoma. And I politely turn him down because I know that I really need the fire underneath my ass to actually network and get clients for Turn, the travel consulting business that I had started and I've mentioned previously in the book and in these videos. And he reiterates that I will always be part of the Inova Center family, that I could always come back if I really needed it. And I tell him that I'm so grateful that I made the choice to work there instead of working at the Standard Hotel, which I had interviewed for around the same time. What's not explained in my book is just how significant the Inova Center was to me and how it really did change my life path. So what started as just a part-time job that I took ahead of my senior year, knowing that I would have more free time because I had taken a smaller class load since I had transferred in credits from a community college before going to New York University, and I had also gotten credits for AP tests that I had taken and scored really high in. So I just had extra time and I thought, well, I should make some money. I stumbled upon the receptionist position at the Inova Center while looking at the NYU job board. At the time, Inova was located on 11th Street between Broadway and University, which was really close to campus. It was also really close to Union Square. So it was just really convenient for me because I lived in the financial district right off of the 456. So it was either the 6 train up to Astor Place or the 405 up to Union Square. It was right in between the two. So it was a really convenient location, which made me even more inclined to apply there. Even though I had no experience with acupuncture, I knew nothing about it. They saw that I had administrative experience from high school where I worked at this dog boarding facility. And then I also worked at the NYU newspaper, so I clearly was pretty confident. Given that Inova primarily specialized in using acupuncture to help women with their fertility, particularly women who were going through assistive reproductive technology like IVF or having an IUI, a lot of the clientele were individuals who waited until later in life to have kids. What became more and more clear to me as I worked at Inova was that a lot of our clientele came from the literary industry. So New York City is obviously a hub for the industry, and then also it's a very female-dominated industry. So naturally, when you look at the overlap with the type of patients that we serve typically, then it makes complete sense why so many would be literary agents or editors. And as I developed relationships with them, I was thinking about the fact that, well, now that I'm graduating from film school, instead of trying to make a movie which requires a lot of capital and a lot of physical manpower, maybe I should write a book because I could do all that myself. And then when I'm finished, maybe I could leverage a connection at work to get it in the hands of someone in the industry. The fact that the short film that I made for my senior thesis project at NYU fell flat on the festival circuit, I only got into one film festival, made me feel even more like I should be moving away from film and television and more towards writing. And then I also came up with this idea that felt way bigger than a movie. And so I felt like the only way to actually see it come to life would be to write a book. So in the winter of 2012, I started writing my first novel called Lilium Celestis. I finished writing the book in a couple months, and as I was editing it, one of the acupuncturists told her client that I was working on a book, and she happened to be an editor at Simon & Schuster, a really prominent one. So as she was checking out, she actually gave me her business card and told me that I could send her the manuscript when it was finished, which is a crazy in because most of the times you have to get a literary agent before you can even reach an editor. So I felt like I was being fast-tracked to be this major new voice in the literary industry, this hot new young writer. And in the video I released on October 10th, I was talking about how I ended my relationship with Ben. Part of the reason why I did that is because I felt like I was just about to start this new chapter in my life where I was going to be so focused on writing in my career that I wouldn't even be able to have a relationship. So that is additional context for how that situation unfolded. But then that editor ghosted me because she had a kid, which is a good thing, and she no longer was a client at the acupuncture center, so I wasn't seeing her on a regular basis to remind her or to see what she thought about the manuscript. So I was really disappointed, but now that I was on this path and I saw how it felt to write a book and I really enjoyed the process, I fully abandoned the notion that I wanted to be involved in film and television. I mean, maybe I could have one of my books adapted and I would be part of that process, but really all I cared about was becoming an author at that point. So Unova in that way shifted my entire direction towards being a writer. And because I had the flexibility to always work in the afternoons to evenings at Unova, it meant that I could always start my day with writing. So it was so perfect for my flow because I was always a morning writer. I've never been a night writer. And so it was a perfect job opportunity to keep pursuing my actual passion, which was now writing. That flexibility was also what allowed me to drop everything to become a primary caregiver for my mom when her cancer had metastasized to her brain and spinal cord. Had I pursued a film and television career, I might have ended up at a studio or at a film development company, and I might not have been able to drop everything to be there for my family in that moment. So had I not taken that job at Unova the summer before my senior year of college, I probably wouldn't have ever gone down the path of writing books and wanting to be an author. And I also may have ended up in a situation where I couldn't have been a primary caregiver for my mom because I wouldn't have been able to relocate from New York City to go back home to Kansas. So without those two things, losing Linda May would never have existed. I wouldn't be sitting here making this content because even if I had been a primary caregiver for my mom, if I had not written all those novels previously, I don't think I would have had the confidence to write a memoir. And I don't think I would have understood how to construct it in the way that I did because it is written more like a novel than it is a traditional memoir. I truly cannot fathom what my life would be like had I not taken that job at Unova in the same way that I could have never comprehended just how consequential that job would be once I started. Because at the time, I just thought that I would be answering phone calls for clients who were looking to get needles put in them to help them have babies. But then it turned out to spark a major passion for me, and now I have self-published a book. So you just really never know how your life will unfold, and you should never pass up an opportunity to try something new because you just don't know how impactful it could be. In the next video on October 15th, I'll be talking all about my trip to Lima, Peru, and my relationship with Javier, which would not exist without Unova either, because Unova gave me the flexibility to travel internationally a lot, and I never would have met Javier in the first place had I not taken a trip to Lima, Peru in 2014. So once again, it all connects back to Unova. So hit subscribe, leave any questions in the comments. The link to my book is in the description, and I will see you all on the 15th.